I finished watching Steel Perch Canal drag the ditrauma off to their room. I looked over toward Striped Koi Canal to see them bugging the apprentice, Koda Swordtail Pond. I arrived to hear Steel Perch Canal mentioned. Come on, it's boring here. I want someone to explore with. Koda Swordtail nervously responded. I don't think that would be a good idea. The council wouldn't. Striped Koi interrupted. Come on, don't tell me you're not gonna be brave. I asked. Striped Koi Canal, why are you talking to someone else's apprentice? Striped Koi Canal replied, because it would be fun to have someone to explore the outside with. And I don't have my own. I commented, probably for the better. Striped Koi Canal paused before walking back to their room. I then led Koda Swordtail Pond over to their mentor, Common Butterfly Canal. Common Butterfly Canal asked, where were they? I answered, getting tempted to leave the garden by Steel Perch Canal. Common Butterfly Canal squinted her eyes. I'm now wondering if telling her was a good idea. I heard a door open and looked over to see that Marine Peacock Pond had finally gotten up. I walked over to my diva of an apprentice and asked, would you like to start today's practice? Marine Peacock Pond paused before answering. Yep, as long as I don't get dirty. I nodded and we walked over to a smaller planter. He then summoned 3 fruits. On the left there is a L flowering quince. In the middle there is a tree gay lemon. To the right, there is a W flowering quince. I mentioned, since we met the daily quota, you can keep the fruit that you have created. Marine Peacock Pond responded by bringing the fruit to our room. He returned and summoned 2 more fruit. To the left, there is a K flowering quince. To the right, there is a S flowering quince. Marine Peacock Pond took the fruit and started eating. I decided to let him enjoy his break. I looked over to the portal door to see Grandma Carp Canal attempting to knock. I walked over and knocked on the door in a way indicating a request for food. There was a pause before the door opened with a dead ditrauma lying inside. Grandma Carp Canal thanked. Thank you, dearie. Grandma Carp Canal started grabbing it and dragging it over to his room. On the way, he passed Flat Lake Pond, which helped him complete the task of getting it to his room. After helping, Flat Lake Pond floated off. I then looked around to see Jack Canal talking to Steel Perch Canal. I walked over to hear Steel Perch Canal mentioned. It just isn't as enjoyable as it initially was. Jack Canal replied, is there anything I can do to help? Steel Perch Canal answered, not that I can think of. Yellow Cab Pond walking over and excitedly mentioned, Can we practice? Jack Canal asked. Show us pausing our conversation, Steel Perch Canal. Steel Perch Canal answered. Jack Canal then walked over to one of the smaller planters with his apprentice, Yellow Cap Pond. I looked over to see Neon Tiger Pond with their horn clipping into the wall. I walked over and sarcastically asked, going for a new record? They answered by mumbling something that I couldn't make out. After a decent bit of them mumbling, Koda Swordtail Pond walked over and asked, is it alright if I help him? I answered, it's alright, you don't need to. I then pulled Neon Tiger Pond out of the wall, and they ran off. I looked back to see that Neon Tiger Pond running over to Grandma Carp Canal. I continued looking around to see that Jack Canal was creating fruit on one of the big planters. In the middle of the bottom row there is an I flowering quince. Above that is an E flowering quince. Below both of the flowering quinces, this one is to do with the letter M. To the left of the flowering quince is a H flowering quince. To the left of the bottom one is a R flowering quince. To the left of the top flowering quince is a T flowering quince. To the right of the flowering quince is an X flowering quince. To the right of the flowering quince, there is a N flowering quince. Finally, to the right of the bottom flowering quince, there is a D flowering quince. I continued looking around until I found the O, P, Q, U, V, Y, Z, and AA, AB, AC, and the AD flowering quinces along with a pumpkin. The end.